Good evening. My name's Bob Connors. It's now 6:02 p.m. I'd like to call the September 5th meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission to order. Sam, can you read the remote open meeting law preamble? Take a roll call vote of the members present.
All right, as a preliminary matter, my name is Samantha Holt, Town Staff Conservation Agent for the Newbury Conservation Commission. Please permit me to confirm that all members are present and can hear me. Conservation Commission members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bob Connors.
Yes.
Brad Duffin.
Yes.
Diane O'Brien.
Yes.
Mary Rimmer.
Yes.
Mick Brown.
Yep.
TJ Conti.
Yes.
And Woody Knight is coming in right now.
Hey, good evening, Woody. We just opened the meeting, getting ready to start the preamble.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Sorry for my tardiness.
No, don't worry, my friend.
All right, good evening. This September 5th, 2023 open meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with the act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, which extends the governor's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law until March 31st, 2025. This order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location and allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference, and the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Meeting materials were provided to Conservation Commission members prior to the meeting for review and were posted to the Conservation Commission webpage for public access. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Proponents will be given 10 minutes to present. More time may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. After they conclude their remarks, we will go down the list of commission members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, for all attendees except commission members and staff, please remember to mute your computer using the mute button or your phone using *6 to toggle mute and unmute when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Please be aware that video participants can see you and that you should take care not to screen share your computer unless you have been allowed to do so. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For any responses, please wait until the floor is yielded to you and state your name before speaking. If commission members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself when you speak. There will be an opportunity for public comment and questions during public hearings. After commission members have spoken, we will afford the public an opportunity to comment and/or ask questions as follows. I will seek questions and comments at the appropriate time through the Zoom raise hand function. For video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the bottom of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on the yellow hand that appears. If you don't see a yellow hand, click on the participants button. The list of participants will open and display on the right. At the bottom of this participant area, you will see an option to click on a raise hand button. Please ensure your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. You may rename yourself by using the more function next to your name. For telephone participants, to raise your hand in a Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your phone's keypad. We will then allow questions and comments from members of the public who have raised their hands in the order in which they appear on my screen based on when the function was selected. Each participant will be called upon to provide their name and address or affiliation and will be afforded 3 minutes to make comments. More time may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. The proponent or commission members will have the opportunity to reply as needed. Your hand will be lowered when you've been given the floor for your questions. We will then continue down the list of those in the raise hand column and again afford time for responses as needed. All participants are reminded that only matters which fall into the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission may be discussed. The chat feature has been disabled for this meeting, and everyone is expected to conduct themselves in the same manner they would in an in-person meeting. Disruptions that impede the operations of this commission will be addressed once by the chair and should be acknowledged by the disruptor. Further disruptions may result in complete removal from the meeting with no readmittance. Vulgar or obscene actions or comments will result in immediate removal from the meeting with no readmittance. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, upcoming meeting dates, September 19th, October 3rd, and October 17th. We have meeting minutes available for review for August 1st and August 15th. Why don't we take a minute and look at the August 1st and see if we have any comments, corrections, or questions. Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to accept the August 1st meeting minutes as written?
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call vote. All those in favor? Mary,
Yes.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Mick? Mick, you're on mute.
Okay, yes. Sorry about that.
TJ,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right, the August 15th meeting minutes. Any comments, corrections, or additions on the August 15th meeting minutes? Mary, Diane's gonna, said she's gonna start making sure she's checking typos and all this stuff
I
too.
was checking typos. We're gonna, so I didn't find any though, so
Okay,
good work, Sam.
all right.
It happens.
Okay, hearing no questions, is there a motion to accept the August 15th meeting minutes as written?
So moved.
Do we have a
Second.
second? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Roll call vote. Mary,
Yes.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Yes.
TJ,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
Bob Connors votes yes. All right, first order of business, certificate of compliance, DEP file number 0501347, 15 Coleman Road, Lot 4, for work to construct a single-family home with associated site work. Sam, can you provide an overview and a recommendation on this matter?
Yep, so this one was, like it says, pretty straightforward. It's just the construction of the house. There was some grass planting in the backyard. It's mostly just all buffer zone work. It was pretty straightforward. Everything appears to have been completed as it was approved. And everything looks good. The site looks very stable. I've been out there a few times with Tom Zaruko to take a look at everything. Had a lot of along the way checks for different things, for different plantings and stuff like that. And my recommendation would be for a complete certificate.
Okay, questions from the members? Mary, any questions for Sam on this matter?
I know a couple of these lots had plantings and those all have been installed, the new trees.
They have, yes, actually, this particular project, they did, like 150% of what their plantings were, just because they managed to get their hands on so many and they had so much space for it. So they had a lot of plantings that went in and they all look really good. There's like a handful, particularly it's like river birches for some reason. It's some of the more recent ones that they've gotten over the last like year or two, that looked a little crispy the last time I went out, but it was only, you know, like 4 or 5 of them. And Tom had said, and I had seen some of the older ones too, that the same thing happened with some of the ones that went in like 3 or 4 years ago, that
They bounced
were
back. Yeah.
that they looked kind of crappy at the beginning, and then they just flourished in the following season. So
Great.
I don't have any
Transplant
concerns about the
stress.
plantings that they have.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. That's my only comment.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Woody, any questions on this matter?
No, no questions. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions for Sam on this one?
All good, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Mick, any questions?
No, I am all good, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mick. TJ, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, TJ. Diane, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions. All right, is there a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 15 Coleman Road, Lot 4?
So moved.
Do we have a
Second.
second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Roll call vote. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Thank you. Okay, next matter is a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0501348 excuse me, 15 Coleman Road, Lot 3. Sam, can you provide an overview and a recommendation on this matter?
Yep, this one, same exact thing. It was the construction of the house. It's all buffer zone work. This is the one, or this is one of the lots that actually had more of the plantings on it, more than just the like grass and stabilization and everything. And everything looks pretty good. My recommendation would be for a complete certificate for this one as well.
Okay, questions from the members. Mary, any questions on Lot 4?
No questions.
Excuse me, Lot 3. Thank you, Mary. Woody, any questions on this one?
No, no questions. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions?
All good, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Brad. TJ, how about yourself?
No, no questions.
Thank you, TJ. Diane, any questions?
No, thank you.
And Bob Connors has no questions. Mick, did I skip you? Do you have any questions?
I do not, but thank you, Bob.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 15 Coleman Road, Lot
So
3.
moved. So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Roll call vote. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
yes.
and Bob Connors votes aye. All right, thank you. We have another certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0501170 6 51st Street for work to construct an addition, remodel, expand an existing deck. Sam, can you provide an overview and a recommendation on this matter?
Yep, so this one, the addition that was going up actually went over an existing deck. The deck did get expanded a little bit. It was kind of more of a reconfiguration than an expansion. So the stairs that were originally on the deck got moved to a different location so that they could put the addition onto it. The addition was constructed all in compliance with the plans. The only deviation from what was approved, they did get approval for the removal of a shed. The verbiage that was in the order of conditions didn't require the removal of the shed. But it did say that if the shed was going to be removed, then they needed to do plantings in the area where the shed currently is. The shed wasn't removed, but the rest of the property is really well vegetated. There's a lot of plantings around. I mean, aside from the house and the driveway, it's all vegetation. The whole area looks really good. So I would recommend a complete certificate. I don't know if there's somewhere to note in the complete certificate that certain work wasn't done. But they are done with the project and they're looking at selling it, and the new buyers don't want to remove the existing shed, as far as we're aware right now. And even
So
if
the
they want
existing-
to, they would have to do a new notice of intent to do that. So
So Sam, my only question, it sounded like the removal of the shed was an alternate. They decided to remove it, they needed to plant it.
right, yeah,
So by not doing it, there's no further action required.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was kind of how I interpreted it as well.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Questions from the members? Mary, any questions for Sam on 651st Street?
You're muted, Mary.
As long as Sam's confident that the shed removal wasn't required as part of the mitigation, then I'm fine with it. And there is a place to check on the certificate of compliance form that only partially, a portion of the work was not completed. Yeah,
Okay, anything else, Mary?
that's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Woody, any questions on this matter?
No, no questions. Just a comment that if the shed was supposed to be removed, then, but it's all right that it didn't get removed, then everything's fine.
Thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions on this matter?
I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Mick, any questions on this one?
No, just if we can note the compliance that it's
follow up on Woody and Mary, that if the shed is removed in the future, that it's going to be a reapplication for
Yeah.
the removal of that shed. So,
That may be able to come back as an RDA, I would think too, if it became an issue.
sure. Yeah, that could.
Anything else, Mick?
Oh, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mick. TJ, any questions on this one?
Nothing further.
Thanks, TJ. Diane, any questions?
No,
Thank you, Diane. I have no questions. Anyone else have a question? Sam or Mary, do you have any additional questions? Are we good to go?
All set.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 650 First Street.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. All in favor, say aye. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right, next order of business, request for a determination of applicability. And it's our file number NCC 425, and it's for 297 High Road for work to remove dead ash trees. You know what, Sam? I'm going to go right to Mary on this one, I think, because Mary and Mick did a site visit. That's okay with you, and
Yep.
get their overview on this. Mary?
Yeah, we did, and that the trees aren't all dead. They're dying. They're not gone yet. The trees along Newbury Neck, I think it's Newbury Neck Road, are kind of all in a row, might have been planted at one point or another. They're pretty far away from the buffer zone, and if they need to come down, I don't have any issue with that. I thought that was me. There are, the wetland boundary is closer, much closer than what's shown on the application and on the Mass GIS mapper. And it goes pretty much right along the, the forested part of the rear of the lot. It looks like, we didn't do any detailed delineation, but some of the trees that were proposed to be removed are in the wetland. And the ones in the yard that have the potential for threatening the house, I have no issue with. The ones in the wetland or in the woods, without a more definitive wetland boundary, I'm not comfortable having those removed. The only other item was that it appears that there's a new shed that was put up that's very close to the wetland edge, and that was not, does not appear to have received a permit.
Okay, Mick, any follow-up on that? Registered arborist of the Newbury Conservation Commission?
No, I think that the tree removals are warranted, the ones that they've marked for removal. And I did look at Sam's photographs today. She had updated, and some of them are either dying or even ones that are close to the house, they're very low survivability rate, just based on the canopy over them and the way they're shaped. And so I think for the sake of safety on the house, the ones close to the house, that removal seems to be warranted. I think, Mary, we even discussed with the owner of the town coming in to remove some of the trees along the roadway, because it looks like they're in the active roadway. Yeah, I think the only concern I really had was the method of removal. So if he's going to climb and piece these trees out, or if he needs to bring equipment in, like a crane or a skidder of some sort to get this wood out of that wetland area, I don't think that's been really defined yet on his actual method of removal. I mean, I read the quick kind of determination from the arborist, and I don't disagree with the trees that he wants to remove, but there's no clarity on how he's going to remove them. So I think if we can define that, because if he's going to back a skidder up in there, we need to know that. If he's going to put a crane up on the street and crib it out, then we're good. So we just need to know the method of removal for the trees within the wetland area. So, and I don't think that's been defined, unless I haven't seen that. I don't know, Sam, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, my question to Sam was, at our last meeting, Sam, we had some open issues on the number of trees. two, the completeness of the application, and the any feedback from the Newbury Tree Ward. So why don't we go with the first one? Is the application been completed to everyone's satisfaction? And Mary, does it identify the trees that you have no problem with?
I'm not sure that it's been updated in the Dropbox. Sam may have some more up-to-date information on that. I couldn't tell if it was updated. The one that's in the Dropbox isn't signed. There is a concern if there is work not on their property that it should be acknowledged by the town as well. So I don't know in terms of that form itself, if it's complete yet. And Sam maybe can address that.
Yeah, so I have a signed copy. I just scanned the wrong one.
Okay.
Actually, I think I might have scanned it before Jim signed it. I think both of them are signed. So the trees themselves, the thing with the right of way is kind of funky. I believe the trees are on the property for 297, but they're still within the right of way. So basically anything within 10 feet of the edge of the roadway, in most cases, is considered public right of way, in which case the town has the right to remove them. So they can do maintenance, they can do pruning, they can remove them entirely if they want to, and they don't necessarily need property owner permission for it, especially if it's a case of the trees are dead and they could potentially come down on power lines, which is mostly the case here, or if they're, obstructing view in the roadway or things like that. But I do believe they are on this property. They're just within the right of way for the road, which is again something that that Tim kind of has to confirm, and I don't know if he's been out there yet. I know Jim was working on getting in touch with him to get that figured out. I haven't heard from him, but I think that's a little bit less an issue as to whether they're in the right of way or not, if they are on the property. So
I don't understand. Can I ask a question, Bob?
Yeah, certainly, Mary.
How it can be on their property and on the right of way? I mean,
yeah, it's a really weird. So it's a weird setup. So for some reason, anything within 10 feet of the edge of the roadway is considered a public right of way. So like
at the edge of this particular road,
right at the edge of pretty much any
pavement?
public way. Any public road, anything within 10 feet of the edge of it is technically considered public right of way. So the town has the authority to do things like put sidewalks in and trim trees and prune trees and cut trees down. It's a really weird setup. I used to work for the state, and we used to shove trees in people's yards in the public right of way, even if they hadn't asked us for them, if it was far enough away from their house. So it's a weird system, but they are allowed to do it technically.
Yeah, I mean, just going back from being a land developer over the years, there's a layout for the roadway, Mary, that is the public right of way, the public pass and repass. Beyond that, and that would be the start of the private property line and the end of the public way. Now, if it was an easement or just a right of way over someone's property, that could be completely encapsulated within the boundaries of the owner's property.
Yep.
But it's just giving someone else the right to pass or repass or run a utility.
And we had a similar project like this on Moody Street a few months ago. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what the number was, but it was kind of towards the end of Moody Street, the like West Newbury end. There was a tree that we actually I didn't think that it was in the public right of way. So the property owner came in, they did the RDA for it, they got approval to remove it. And then Pete Pecos actually mentioned that, hey, you should probably get in touch with the tree warden and see if that's in the public right of way, because it's kind of close to the street. It could be. And Tim actually went out and looked at it, and the property owners called me a few days later after I issued the permit and said, yep, he said it's in the public right of way and it needs to come down. So the town's gonna take care of it.
Okay. So, Mary, the trees that were near the house, are they within like a 50 or 100-foot radius of the house? I'm just trying to ascertain
Yes,
where.
they're close. They're
where
very
the-
close to the
yeah,
house. I mean, there's one that's only a few feet off the deck, if I remember. It's not, it's pretty close. And then others are, I don't know, between 20 and 50 feet, I guess.
Okay.
But
Where-
then
where-
the ones in the wetland is the concern. Like Mick had mentioned, it's, we
How
don't
far
know how
away?
they're gonna take them down. But the ones in the yard that's the cleared yard are, that isn't so problematic.
Okay, how far, I'm just trying to visualize this. How far away is the wetland boundary, or the apparent wetland boundary from the house?
Very close to where the shed is.
Okay,
It's pretty much the limit of the cleared yard. There's a little garden in the cleared area and yeah, it's hard to see from these photos, but
Yeah.
right there, yeah.
So there's like a kind of right in this area, it sort of drops off. This is like kind of the edge of the yard up here. And then it drops off like a foot or two. It swings around behind the shed. Right out behind here, kind of the edge of the shed is sort of right on or the back side of the shed is right on the edge of what appears to be wetland. Which is much more obvious now than it was when I first went out kind of in the early spring before all the vegetation had exploded all over the place. So I think it sounds like the main or the trees that Mary has the most concerns about are probably this one right here. This one is in the yard. And then these two in the back are kind of the ones, that's this one right here is also this one. I tried to kind of separate them. The ones that are marked in yellow are already marked in previous pictures. But I think those three are definitely the biggest concerns because they appear to be in the wetland areas. And I think, so I did talk to Jim about this when I went out there to get these pictures. And unfortunately, I was not able to meet Keith out there. He didn't have a chance to get out there with me. Unfortunately, our schedules just didn't collide enough for that. But I know this tree right here. Oh, actually, look at that. Keith Stromsky has entered the chat. So this tree right here is that one that was marked in the previous picture. It's the one that's farthest over to the left when you're looking at it. The main concern that I have with that one is that it's leaning in the direction-ish of the road. And I think that's part of their concern as well, that unfortunately, if the wind blows in the right direction, I think that one could actually end up coming down and it could reach to the power lines and everything on the street. And now that Keith is here, hopefully he can shed some light on how those trees are gonna be removed if they're approved to be removed. And when I talked to Jim about these two as well, I did note to him that if they did get approval to be removed, that, there's potential that we could put the very minor condition on it that instead of having them be completely removed, go, up to 20 feet off the ground if it's possible, and basically leave everything below like the bottom branches and just kind of top it and leave that main trunk there so that you're not worrying about it getting, and for any of those trees, you could probably do that. Leave
Okay.
that main trunk there so that you don't have to worry about them falling over and hitting power lines or hitting the house or anything like that, falling in the street. You're leaving it there for habitat use and you're not really worrying about getting into the base of the tree, having any disturbance on the ground or anything.
So Sam, what I think, let's have Keith, if Keith could identify himself, his title and his address, and be available for questions. I'd circle back with Mary, then work our way back to Mick and then the rest of the members.
Hi, I'm Keith Stromsky. I'm the arborist that Jim has reached out to regarding this.
Good evening, Pete.
Oh, good evening. I'm at 35 School Street in Byfield, so I'm also a resident.
All right.
So yeah, as far as the trees being topped out at, 20x, X number of feet, it complicates it a bit. Ashes are really, really brittle trees when dead, and then you've got the added issue of the fact that they've been bored through by the insects. The ideal situation, which doesn't bode well for the vegetation underneath it, is that they be felled. You know, the ideal situation as far as safety for those working and the cost efficacy, I should say. That would be the ideal in regards to in those things. Anything leaning that's going to potentially contact the power lines, I mean, that's kind of on National Grid to take care of, and or the town. To my mind, I mean, I'm not well versed on all the aspects of the job, of that process. But I think, especially this one here marked with the computer orange X, that's in his backyard. I mean, that's like, that's the mulch sort of maintained area. I'm not trying to throw a wrench in the works, but that seems like a lot to ask the homeowner to have a dead standing log sitting on the edge of his property, edge of his backyard for the next 30 years.
Yeah, I think Keith, I think where we're at, and Mary and Mick had been out and have done a site visit.
Yeah.
And both were in agreement that the trees within the yard near the house were not the issue. It was more the trees that were in the apparent wetland.
Yeah.
What was the issue? So first question, how many trees are in the yard that have been flagged and subject to removal?
I've been straight out today, so I don't actually have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's about 5 that are in that sort of area right along the brush line you're seeing in the picture to the right of that tree. Those couple right there with the orange X's there were definitely, well, that one's leaning to the right. I'm trying to orient myself a little bit. Yeah, so that one's, leaning towards the marsh and isn't technically a threat to the house.
But it's dying or it's dead, correct?
Yeah, and all the ashes in this entire area will be gone in the next 3 to 5 years unless they're being treated, and these are beyond treatment.
Yeah. There's very little crown left in those trees. Very little.
I mean,
Yeah.
In order for any treatment to be effective, they want to have at least 75% of the crown left with this issue.
Okay. So why don't I do this? I'm going to go back to Mary first, Mick, and then I'll circle back to you for questions for Keith, and then I'll open it up to the rest of the members. Mary, any?
Yeah, again, no issue with the ones in the upland. The 3 looks like in the wetland. I would be comfortable if they could be removed in a way that they didn't operate heavy equipment in the wetland. If there's another way to do it. I'm not operating heavy equipment in the wetland. I don't.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Wouldn't want to turn that up. No, I don't operate heavy equipment. The heaviest equipment that I would be utilizing in that point would be, if I was felling the trees, would be a winch to pull them out of the wetland. So, they would have the plants would sustain some damage of the tree actually falling. But after that, it'd be all the most that would impact the wetland would be my feet. I wouldn't be driving anything through there or churning anything up.
And there's not a way to operate, from the road or whatever.
No, I mean, the winch would be on the back of my chipper, and I would be doing all of that from the road. I would not be bringing any heavy equipment into the wetland area.
So you're going to be dragging it towards the road. Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. That's.
So, I mean, my ideal, and I think this is I'm not on the Conservation Commission, but I love the outdoors and I take care of my property, and I respect the environment greatly. What my idea would be to fell them, limb them off, let the limbs rot into the marsh, feed the soil there, and pull the log out just for sightliness. That's kind of a Jim thing. Jim wants to get the wood, would like to get the wood out of there so he's not looking at it forever. So, in that it will, there'll be some disturbances, but for the most part, the plants that are there are very shrubby and respond just fine to being, having branches broken here and there kind of thing.
Okay. Mary, any other, does that alleviate your concerns? Now, Keith, you're going to leave what, a 3-foot stump, or what would be your,
I usually cut them
cleaning
flusher
methods?
to the ground.
Okay,
Get them to like, a couple inches above grade. But in this case, the trunks, some of the trunks, to my recollection, that you're concerned about, those 3 that are kind of up the road a bit and towards the marsh, they're pretty brushy around. I mean, I could easily leave a taller stump. It's just a question of not wanting to be in the tree when I make that cut. Personally, there's ways around it. Like you could get a crane in, and to
Right.
greater expense, but but even then, the crane guys are leery of getting into dead ashes because they have to take smaller pieces because it gets so brittle.
Mary, any other questions for Keith?
Yeah, I just wanted to, just make the comment to the property owner if they're online, I think they are, just that, the trees will come down and other stuff is going to be, it's a messy area. It's not a pristine, sort of organized woodland right there. Most of them aren't. So, any further removal of vegetation is not going to be allowed. That's not an area. There's an area that they're going to need to stay out of and not manicure in any way.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody's worried about. I don't think Jim's not
Keith,
looking at
Keith, let me-
manicure.
That was
Keith-
directed to the homeowner. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, Keith, just wait for, you go through, everything goes through the chair on discussion, just for the orderliness
that.
of the meeting. No problem. Mary, are you okay with a
Yeah, my
flush cut on
preference
the stump?
To leave as much of the tree in, on the site as is reasonable in this case.
Okay, the height of the stump, is that an issue for you if it's a couple of inches above grade or
No,
only within the wetlands?
it's not going to matter because it's going to be hidden,
Right. Okay,
anyway.
Okay. all right. Mary, I'll circle back just if
Yeah.
there's anything else that pops up. Mick? Question?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Quick question, Keith. You said primary cause of these trees declining is it's that European ash borer?
Emerald ash borer.
Yeah, emerald ash borer. And my concern would be leaving more of the bole of the tree, because if those insects are overwintering in the bole or wherever that's my rudimentary understanding of it. So, removing more of the bole and getting more of the insects out of there to hopefully preserve some of the ash trees that are still surviving, but a lot of them my observation was they're 20, maybe 30% crown on some of these trees if they were still surviving,
Mm-hmm.
and with a lot of internal rot. But yeah, I think, and I do agree with Mary, just doing whatever we can to minimize impact to the undergrowth, the understory, would be that's really my only concern. And it's my understanding you're not climbing these guys, right? You're not craning them out.
They're a little too dangerous to climb.
Yeah, nobody likes climbing up a dead ash. Been there.
Nope.
Right. So yeah, and just minimizing that damage and having a plan to minimize the damage to the understory going through it is. But I don't disagree with any of the markings. It's more, can we do anything like, I think removing more of the tree and removing the insects with that is probably going to benefit some of the ashes that are still surviving. So
I follow your sentiment. I think in general that is a wise choice. If there's, tree work's getting depressing. If there was any hope of it actually minimizing the emerald ash borer, yeah, I'd agree with you 100%.
No, we're not.
It's here. It's coming through all of them. It's even in the mountains in New Hampshire. It's here. It's here to stay, and it's taking them all out. There's, maybe eventually there's some that'll be some resistance to it, but it's not. It's just they're gone. They're gone, and it's here to stay.
All right, Mick, anything else before I move on to other members?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks,
Mick.
Keith.
TJ, any questions for Keith on this matter?
Nope, I think he's explained it very well.
Okay, thank you, TJ. Woody, any questions for Keith on this matter?
No, I don't have any questions. I've been following along with everything and I think, I have a full understanding of what's going on here.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions on this matter?
All good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Mick, I'll circle back with you. Diane, any questions on this matter?
No, I mean, I saw the site as well and sort of, I'm in agreement with Mary that less is best, but, you know, I don't know about boring insects in trees, so,
I like
guess-
the less is best,
Good line.
that
we'll
you
see.
should copyright that, Diane.
Oh, yeah, probably already
Yeah.
done. No,
Any-
I'm in agree, I'm okay with it. Just,
Okay. Mary, any follow-up questions? I'm just gonna ask Keith to go over that. Let me stop there. Mary, any follow-up?
No, I
questions?
mean, I would just
I'm gonna
suggest,
do a recap with Keith to see if we're all in agreement.
yeah, I would just
Okay.
suggest a special condition that there be no heavy equipment operated in the wetland area. And if there's any special disposal methods for this material, because it is infested,
Mhm.
you know.
So,
look
so
into
ju-
that.
just to recap, so if I'm understanding this correctly, all trees that have been identified can be removed. The ones that are located in the wetland can be flush cut, ground level, a couple inches above, and hauled off, you know, as Keith described. The trees in the yard, on the stumps, and they're clearly out of the wetland or buffer. Are we looking at pulling the stumps or grinding them down? Is there a plan on that, Keith?
There has been no plan made, definitely not pulling them. That's way too injurious to the marshland and, you know, it causes way too much runoff. He might want to grind them. I haven't talked to him on that front.
Okay,
But it's, you know, I generally don't even recommend grinding unless it's lawn already. You know, there's no real point in grinding it unless,
Okay.
because unless you're mowing all the way around it for the next 30 years, there's really no point in grinding it.
okay. Thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
All right. So, team, it sounds like that all the trees can be removed. They can be cut flush, couple inches to the ground and hauled off. And with a special condition that no heavy equipment or crane is going to be utilized during the removal. Does that pretty much cover it, Mary, in your eyes?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay, Mick, does that work for you?
Absolutely. Yep, I'm good with it.
All right, I'm just gonna go around one more time. Brad, any comments? You okay with that?
No, I think they can cut some trees. Thank you.
Woody, any comments?
Just a clarification, the trees that are along, I was on the sidewalk as well. The trees that are along the right of way, we haven't determined who's responsible for removal or the homeowner's gonna remove them all.
Well, that's a good question. I guess, Keith, did you talk to the tree warden? Or has anyone talked to the tree warden to your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, Jim has contacted Tim, but I'm not sure if he's gotten any feedback from him on that front yet.
Okay. So I guess the question is, regardless of who is going to remove the trees, whether it's the town or the property owner, do we have an issue on their removal? And my sense is we do not at this time, but are you okay with that, Woody?
Yes, I was just trying to clarify if
Yep,
Yeah.
no, it's a good
it was a
point.
responsibility of the town or not, that's all.
And regardless of who's responsible for removing them, they're gonna have to comply with the RDA anyways.
Right.
But yeah, it is, we haven't heard back from Tim yet, at least as far as I'm aware. But ultimately, I think he has to be the one to make that determination as to who would be responsible for it.
So
Okay,
Sam,
thank you.
you have clarity on what the negative determination of that direction is going to be?
Yeah.
Okay, any further comments from anyone before I entertain a motion? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to issue a negative determination for 297 High Road as discussed, conditioned that no heavy equipment will be utilized?
So move.
So move.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, Mick moved, TJ seconded. Okay, all those in favor issuing a negative determination for 297 High Road, say aye. Roll call vote. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, thank you. All right, next matter, request for determination of applicability. It's our file number 431, 105 Scotland Road for work to remove another tree. Sam, can you give us an overview and a recommendation on this one?
So this one is, I believe it is 12, 13 trees that are being removed. These are, from what I understand, there is because of the shading and everything that is being caused by the trees, they're looking at removing some of them to help kind of open the area up so that there's less roof damage. But I feel like maybe now I'm thinking of a different project, but I think and we do have the homeowners on, so if you guys want to add to that, but I
Yeah.
believe that was what we had discussed, that there was some roof damage being caused by the trees being in the area, so you're just looking to open it up a little bit. There are wetlands on the property, but they don't appear to be, the trees don't appear to be very close to them. From everything that I've seen, it doesn't really look like the wetland boundaries are much more extensive than what was shown on Mass Mapper. I didn't really have any concerns about these ones. It's all just a lot of house protection kind of stuff.
Okay, all right, well, if the owner would just identify themselves, and what I'll do is I'll open up questions after you identify yourselves and your address to the members for any questions, to clarify any matters. You're on mute if you're.
Is that better?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
much better. Thank you.
Haiti Kershaw and Crow Black at 105 Scotland Road.
Okay. All right, Mary, why don't we start with you to see what questions you have on this matter?
Yes, so like, what kind of trees are we dealing with here? Do we know the types of trees?
There are some oak trees and some maple trees, and I believe there's one hickory that are growing sort of over the house, as well as a couple of oak trees that are in the backyard that are not helping the situation. And then there out front, there are a couple of poplars that are dying, that are in, kind of rough shape.
Yeah.
And they can influence the power lines as well. So we're looking to take those down as well, because they're probably not going to be lasting very long.
And do you know how many altogether you're proposing to remove?
I think there's 14.
14, okay. I think, again, I'd like to probably do a site visit just to see these and evaluate how far they are from the wetland, and if there are any particular concerns. Those are nice trees. I hate to see oaks and maples and hickories go. They're nice hardwoods, but I understand, if they're causing damage to the house, but there may also be opportunities for limbing and pruning, depending on how close these are to the house. So it's just a little bit hard to tell from the figures provided in the note in the RDA. It's just a little bit hard to tell the way the house is oriented and where the property line is close to the house. It's a little hard to tell.
Thank you, Mary. I'm going to go to Mick. Mick, your comments on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I took a quick look at the the sketches there. It's a little tough to tell, but I kind of agree with Mary. I'd just like the opportunity to do a quick site walk and just get some boots on the ground and see what's going on. That would be my preference.
Is there any threat to the house right now with a tree ready to fall on the house that is of a major, is this more, a little more preemptive tree removal?
Well,
At this
there's
point?
lichen and mold on the roof
Right.
and.
Well,
and-
my question is a couple of weeks going to impact the safety of your property? If that was wanted to come up.
Unlikely,
Okay,
unlikely.
okay. All right,
We've got somebody tentatively scheduled later on this month to do the work if we're good with it. But that can be postponed as well.
well, we have another meeting coming up on September 19th, and I think we could certainly do a site visit and come back and resolve what issues, if any, remain.
Okay,
Okay.
And if that would work.
Yep.
sure.
So why don't I do this? Let's go around to ask everyone for questions. TJ, any questions on this one? And site visit does sound good to me for,
Yeah, site visit sounds good and no more questions than they already brought up.
okay. Woody, any questions on this one?
A site walk would be good, and also that I call that the shady side of Scotland Road because of the hill behind
Right.
some of these houses. So it'll be interesting to look at that in relevance to some of the problems they're having with the home itself, and especially in the winter, to find sunlight in the yard there might be hard to do. But that's my only comment.
Okay.
Other
Thank
than
you,
this.
Woody. Brad, any comments on this one?
All good, Mr. Chair.
Mick, any comments? Your site visit, thumbs up for you.
Yeah, no additional questions or comments.
Okay, Diane, any questions?
Nope,
Not
I'll
this
see
map.
the site walk.
Okay, and I don't have any questions, and just having a similar circumstance in my own house in another community. When the trees get so close to the house, the mold, mildew, snow, ice build up, pulling
Yeah.
down your power line, you're being prudent addressing it in advance rather than after the fact, but. All right, Sam. I guess. What did you do when you were doing 297? Did you do it on a Monday or a Tuesday? Is Monday your full day in town?
Tuesday is my full day, but I do mornings in Newbury.
Okay.
I can shift my schedule. The only day that I can't do early morning would be tomorrow.
Okay.
But other than that, actually tomorrow and next Wednesday would probably be a little bit difficult as well.
So is the 12th next Tuesday? I think it
Yes.
is. Okay. Why don't we do that as a starting point, team? Does 8:30 on Tuesday, September 12th work? Mick, it works for you. Mary, does it work for you?
Yeah, 8 would be even better. I can make
8.
8:30 work, but
Can we do 8? Yeah.
Yeah,
Do we-
okay.
Now,
Yeah.
should we be here?
That would be great.
it
Yeah, I
would be
think it'd be
helpful
Well,
if
we're,
you
we're good.
mark each tree with the ribbon or something that you want to have removed, so we can see which ones they are, so just the
Okay,
ones
yeah,
that are well marked, and ideally, if you can number them, then we can approve.
okay, we're
by number.
gonna be out of town over the weekend and coming back on Tuesday, so we probably won't be back here until afternoon.
Would you prefer to do it at a date when you can be there?
After well,
Sure, we'd like to be here, but
Yeah, I
if,
think that'd be
if
helpful.
we don't have to be, then that's okay too.
Would the
Hey,
14th work?
Yeah,
yes,
Same
Thursday,
time on
the
the 14th?
14th? To
yes,
The 14th?
Sure, 14th would be good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Mary, that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine, thank you.
Okay,
At 8 o'clock's good for everyone?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of town. I'm gonna.
So
be in
will I.
California
I'll be
all
out of
week,
town.
so-
That's
But
Thursday, the 14th. Is that what that date is?
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Thursday, the 14th at 8 a.m.
Sure.
for a site visit. And we'll just continue this matter until the September 19th meeting, which is gonna be the following Tuesday. So,
great.
and
Okay.
I think be invaluable to resolve this in the field.
okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
any other questions on this matter before we move on? All right, Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Can we
Um,
do a vote on that to continue it?
Well, where it's
RDA.
RDA, yeah, RDA's.
I
really not
think,
a
I think
public
we
hearing.
still have to vote to continue.
Well, okay.
We usually do.
Is there a motion to continue the public hearing on this matter to our next meeting, September 19th?
So moved.
Second,
Do we have a
Second.
second? All in favor, say aye. Roll call vote. Mary,
Yes,
DJ,
yes.
Woody,
Yes,
Brad,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay. Thank you,
More of a
everyone.
better safe than sorry thing.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was thinking certificates of compliance and RDAs are not public hearings, but
It is the
the public
RDA is
notice.
considered a public meeting though, so I believe we do technically have to vote on continuations. The COCs and stuff are not, they're not public anything, so.
Public meeting, it's, the public hearing needs to be continued, so, but it's been resolved and I think we're good to go. All right,
Yeah.
next order of business. Sam, on DEP file number 0501409, 18 Fordham Way, that's been continued. A request to
Yeah, that
continue?
should, that's not on the agenda, is it?
Well, it was continued, but it was continued to this date.
It was continued to the 19th.
Okay, so we're all set on that.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, well, let's just move on to DEP file number 0501413, 7 Marsh Ave, for work to demolish an existing structure and conduct a site cleanup. Sam, can you give us an overview on this and a recommendation?
so we actually got a request to continue this one as well. TJ asked to have this continued to the 19th as well.
Okay,
We don't have anybody here for it, so.
I will entertain a motion to continue this matter to the September 19th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Roll call. Mary,
yes,
TJ,
Yes,
Woody,
aye,
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right, well, that concludes our agenda items under administration. Sam, any burning bush that you have to talk about?
Not really a whole lot going on. The only thing recently that's happened, which I'm not entirely sure what the outcome is going to be, DEP did appeal the order of conditions for 110 Hay Street. That was for the like barn renovations and the septic system. And
Okay.
we got comments from DEP on that after the hearing got closed. I reached out to the applicant, I reached out to Mike DeRosa and Evan Gavendran from DeRosa Environmental, and mentioned to them that, hey, DEP has some concerns. Their comments were pretty extensive. Recommended that they reopen the public hearing and have you guys get your hands on it. And their request was they sent me a response letter that I attached to the order of conditions as it was approved by you guys. They just asked that I attach that because they believed that they had complied with all the regulations and that they would be all set. Unfortunately, that's not how it went. I did get in touch with, or I heard from Mike DeRosa after we got the appeal letter. They had mentioned in the letter that they were going to set up a site visit. I guess he reached out to DEP directly, and I think he's going to try to get things worked out before they have to do a site visit or anything. But we're not really sure how that's going to play out. I
Okay,
will keep you guys updated on that.
all right, thank you. The CSO release discussion.
Wait,
Brad?
1 second, Bob.
Oh, yes, Diane.
Sam, could you put that one back in the Dropbox? Do you still
Yep.
have that whole file?
Yep.
The Hay Street one.
Yep.
Yeah, the technical comments were, I think, 2.5 pages long. They're pretty-
There's-
I remember it a little bit, but I'm
Right.
just curious as to, just to look at it again.
what
Well,
was the address on that?
110
110
Hay
Hay.
Street.
110 Hay, okay.
Yeah, this is the one, it's like right at the end of Newman Road.
They were doing a lot of remediation of invasive species
Yeah.
and kind of cleaning up
Yeah.
a lot of their yards, so. Okay. Any discussion on your part of CSOs, Brad, other than we want them to stop immediately?
Well, interesting, Mr. Chair. I was out on a friend's boat earlier this afternoon. And right about an hour after the change in tides, I took a video of the effluent coming out of Newburyport's discharge by the icebreaker in the middle of the river. And it was loaded with sewage. Some would call it brown foam. This clearly was not brown foam. Now, I am not a sewage scientist. I don't claim to be one, but I do know sewage when I see it. I can't tell for sure that it was coming out of that effluent, that discharge pipe, or the discharge pipe at the Newburyport shellfish purification plant. This was loaded with nitrogen, bubbled up, but clearly floating brown matter was part of this. I did take a video. I sent it to the chairman and vice chair of the Newburyport Harbor Commission. Requested that they send that to the mayor of Newburyport. But that's just our local problems. Clearly, during the rains that we've had over this summer, the amount of sewerage is going to be at a record high. And I do believe that it's incumbent upon the town of Newbury, seeing as we are the benefactor, and I use that term loosely, of the sewerage that comes down. It all lands right in our backyard here on Plum Island. So I think that there are ways to mitigate this, including but not limited to a moratorium on building permits in any town that discharges raw sewage by choice or by inaction into the Merrimack River.
Thank you, Brad. All right, why don't we do this? Let's go around for final comments. Mary, any final comments?
I totally agree with Brad, and you know, if there's a way we could set up a meeting with the Merrimack River Watershed Council, or maybe they could attend a meeting and give us some guidance on how we could be most effective at advocating for this, you know, that they may have some campaigns already started that we could piggyback onto.
Okay. Sam, could you reach out to the Merrimack River Watershed and informally and ask them where they're at on the CSOs, and if there is some effort that we may want to consider and recommend to the select board to send off a letter?
I certainly can, and I can actually, I know MVPC is getting their hands in with this stuff as well, so I can reach out to them too and see if they have anything that we can get involved in, or if they need any help with anything too.
Yeah. Okay. Just we'll keep this on as an action item under administration, and we'll look forward to any info you have, Sam.
All right.
Okay, Mary, anything else before we move on?
No, thanks.
Okay. TJ, any closing comments or follow up to Brad's?
Well, just, yeah, piggybacking on that, maybe we should also talk to town council to see what our rights are and our responsibilities with the, you know, with town council legally, how to pursue this as well.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. It would almost be that what's it doing to the wetlands that we have jurisdiction on?
Yeah.
And is it a Board of Health matter that needs to be addressed at the Board of Health or at the Select Board? it's kind of a, I don't know where we issue a enforcement order when it's waterborne like that, but no, good point, TJ. Woody, anything else, TJ, before we move on?
No.
Okay, thanks, TJ. Woody, any comments? Any final remarks?
Just on this matter, unfortunately, the Merrimack River runs along a lot of communities from
Right.
start to finish, and we're at the wrong end of it. And if there is some way to try and prevent this from happening, it's great, but the way things have been going, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything other than when there's major rain, they discharge, and it's unfortunate, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there isn't an easy solution to that problem.
Thank you, Woody. Brad, we've heard your comments. Anything to add before I move on to Mick?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Mick, any
No,
comments?
just,
closing
I
remarks?
mean, I appreciate it. There's just a couple of questions or comments. It's such a pertinent topic, and glad we're having it on the agenda. And the company I work for, we build them. I understand how CSOs work, but what I guess I don't understand is how they operate legally and what you're allowed to discharge. I don't know, Brad, are there any, because as Woody said, we're not just talking about Newburyport and Merrimack, we're up the river to, to Haverhill, Lawrence, and all these communities are affecting, our wetlands. Are there any precedent cases out there where, end receivers like us at, in our community are affected by it, and they've been able to kind of induce some controls over these CSO discharges? Or
Sure. So there's a number of communities starting north in Manchester and Nashua, coming down river to Lowell and Lawrence and Haverhill and North Andover and all part of the Greater Lawrence Sanitary District. And those communities are under consent decree with the EPA that they have a certain time period, and I can't be quoted on the exact amount. I don't have the documents in front of me, but they are legally bound by consent decree to clean up their acts and separate stormwaters from their sewerage. And the city of Lowell has invested tens of millions of dollars in attempting to separate those two. They still have a long way to go. If there was ever a time where there is money available, now is the time, and we may never see another time again. This is a very simple correction that all it takes is money to do it. Money and the will to protect the 600,000 people in the Merrimack Valley that get their drinking water from the Merrimack River. It's unconscionable to me that the community of Plum Island was forced to sign a consent decree to bring water and sewerage out to the island because so many sewer systems or septic systems, or actually they were cesspools at the time, were so close to point-driven wells. And they were very concerned about the health of the population out here, that your next door neighbor could be polluting your well. Well, oh, by the way, we have communities up north of us that are actually polluting the public drinking water that these communities, the 600,000 residents of Massachusetts, get their drinking water from. So to me, it's just absolutely unconscionable that, one, we allow cities and towns north of us to do this. And I question whether or not even our neighboring communities are doing all they can to make sure that what they are discharging into the Merrimack is clean water. So I think Newburyport has done a good job of separating their groundwater their storm drains from their sewage system. But I am concerned about their level of treatment of the sanitary waste that actually does flow into the Merrimack twice a day. It flows in there. They do the release twice a day at the changing of the tides. So if there was ever a time to get the public, I think the public is starting to become aware. They are not aware to the point where people are actually bringing out their pitchforks and showing up at meetings. I find it almost comical that we're worried about a few trees in the wetlands compared to drinking water and raw sewage. This is raw, untreated sewage that goes in the hundreds of thousands of gallons, totally millions of gallons into the river that 600,000 people get their drinking water from. It just boggles my mind that there aren't people out there with pitchforks showing up at meetings and saying, stop the nonsense, because that's what this is.
Thank you,
I hope
Brent.
that answered your question.
Yeah,
Yes, thank
I think the big question is the continuing allowance of tie-ins into systems that do not have the capacity to
Absolutely.
currently treat, that they're affluent, but. Okay, Diane, any follow-up or final comments on your part?
No, nothing beyond what's been said. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
second? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Mary,
Yes.
DJ,
Yes.
Woody,
Yes.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
All right.
Diane,
Yes.
and RDC. Bob Connors votes yes. It is now 7:14 PM. I just want to point out, we would have been done at 6:59. But Brad was on his soapbox with
Well
all,
said, Brad, and if you find one of
But-
those meetings, I'll show up.
It needs to be discussed. We need
Yeah.
to act on this.
I mean,
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chair.